College Gym Vids fan going live on YouTube. This is another full episode of Rescue 911 from Get TV on August 30th, 2019. I'm going to move out of the way so you can see the video. It's a collapsed school bus, St. Pete docu.
I guess this is where push comes to shove, partner.
I think that's the end of Walker, Texas Ranger.
This program contains true stories of rescues. All of the 911 calls you will hear are real. Whenever possible, the actual people involved have helped us reconstruct the events as they happen.
Sometimes, despite heroic efforts, life does not turn out the way we'd like it to. This story is not a recreation. It's a ride-along with the crew of Bayflight Medical Helicopter in St. Petersburg, Florida, where every day they face the harsh realities of life and death emergencies. 4:52 p.m.
Central Rescue 2, Engine 2 at Station 4, DC-1, respond automobile accident.
The accident is more than a 2-hour drive from the nearest trauma center, so paramedics at the scene request a Bayflight medical helicopter.
Bayflight, we have an 18-year-old male that was involved in a head-on. Steering wheel is deformed. Major laceration right side of the face involving the cheek down to the lower chin. Possible head injury, multiple lacerations in the wallet and palm.
Within 17 minutes of the call, the chopper arrives. The chief flight nurse on board is Maurice Brazil.
I have you set down in between the pumper and the ambulance. Okay.
As we were beginning our descent into the area, we noticed the fronts of both of those cars were completely smashed in, like an accordion.
Heavy damage to that Continental. Okay, you can up.
We knew that there could be significant injury because of the velocity that caused that kind of damage.
A local Spring Hill Fire Rescue paramedic, Bob Cox, had arrived 40 minutes before the chopper.
When I reached the first car, the woman who was in the front seat just had a small bruise on her arm. The airbag had inflated and helped her. The next car I found, 18-year-old white male, sitting in the front seat of the automobile. He did not have his seatbelt on. He had a large laceration on the right side of his face. He was losing a lot of blood.
Imagine a patient was in a helicopter and there's blood everywhere. You're having weird sensations and you can't move, you can't talk. You don't know what's going on, you're totally confused. But one thing you can notice is there's somebody there with you and somebody to calm you and work with you through it.
Eighteen-year-old Jeff DiLigio is admitted to Bayfront Medical Center. where he's examined by trauma surgeon Stephen Epstein.
What happened to you?
I don't know.
He did not remember the accident, and that is evidence of a cerebral concussion, and that can easily lead to bleeding in the brain.
Jeff is immediately sent for a CAT scan.
Even if both cars are going at 30 miles per hour, the combined rate of speed in a head-on collision is 60 miles an hour. Most people will wind up with bleeding internal injuries.
Jeff's family is notified.
Did you meet Dr. Harris? This is Dr. Harris. Dr. Harris is a plastic surgeon.
We went into the emergency room, and the poor kid, I saw his eyes. That's all I think I saw. I saw his eyes. I felt so sorry for him.
When we continue,
I said, I wish it was me, not him. He's only 18 years old.
I don't think this is a school bus crash episode. I think it must have been mislabeled. But anyway, I'm still uploading it.
It'll be okay. We got a straw I can do that.
Yeah, I know.
Just right.
She knows
Okay. It's gonna be fine.
Yeah,
I said, I wish it was me, not him. He's only 18 years old.
See you afterwards. You'll be okay in a couple of hours, buddy. Okay?
You'll be okay, okay? Okay.
I'll be out here for you.
Why don't we go outside?
Or maybe this is St.
the
Peter's
CAT scan
Dock.
reveals no brain damage. Jeff must be taken up to surgery to try and repair his face. 6:24 p.m.
What's your address? What's the address, Johan? 2728. Okay, we accidentally went into the house in Detroit with a car. See? And now we put them in gas and then we... Okay, I'll get him right there. All right, bye. It was the vehicle is inside the home, has struck a person. Yes.
As soon as local rescue units get to the scene, they call for a medical helicopter.
Okay, yeah, right where they're standing, I think so.
At the scene, Northport Fire and Rescue, including EMT Howard Bierce, is already working on the 82-year-old woman.
Let's go.
As we were bringing her down the steps, she was grasping onto my arm and looked up at me and said, "This is the way I don't want to die." The next thing I knew, I was trying to get life back into her with CPR.
Look at him bagger. Got a number 8. What happened?
The pedal slipped on me. I foot slipped on the pedal and I hit her into the steps.
When we got the first look at the patient, we could tell that she had a crushing injury to the chest. We knew that it was going to be very difficult to get any kind of an airway on this lady.
Okay, we have to do. Let's go. Two. Okay, somebody fact check home. It's getting tough to bag. It's getting hard. It wasn't having difficulty breathing initially. I'm not sure about this. I'll check it out. We're using conventional methods that weren't working, so we had to do what we call a cricothyrotomy into the neck and put a tube in. She's got so much edema there, I can't even palpate it with my finger. That's it. Right there, I got it. Section of that. All right, go ahead and get 3 more empties. 3 more empties. All right, she's moving. She's breathing. We got a definite pulse with it, right? All right, good. We got to get out of here.
When they said stop CPR, they had pulses back and they did have some respirations. There was a feeling of joy there.
Right now, patient is in a normal sinus to irregular heart rates, goes for probably about 8 or 10.
In route, it was like a roller coaster ride. we get a good response from her heart, like it's Anna saying, I'm still with you and I'm still coming, and then all of a sudden, she's going to full arrest again, and just back and forth, and it's a vicious cycle.
By the time they arrive at the trauma center, rescuers have already been working for more than an hour to try to save the life of the 82-year-old victim.
He's got every gun on board. Everything.
No matter how hard you work on this type of patient, the outcome is not usually very good.
Keep going. Okay, we'll go 15 minutes from here.
Everybody's energies are focused in on that patient. We pull everything in we can to try to save that patient's life.
Done under time, Tom? Yeah. Time has been about 16 minutes. Okay.
I haven't got anything with the doctor.
Okay.
At 8:20 p.m., the woman is pronounced dead.
Sometimes we even see ourselves or we see our family in that stretcher, and it affects us a lot. You become a part of that patient, and now that patient's gone out of your life, that's it.
My name is Mark. I'm one of the chaplains here at Bay Front. There's a kind of a quiver that happens just for a moment as I realize that I have a very difficult assignment ahead of me, and it doesn't get any easier. Anna died.
Died? Oh my God.
She died.
Oh no. Oh God. Oh. Oh.
I'm so sorry. Anna's pain was over, but Kenneth is just starting to experience the pain that he will have to live with for a long time. He's just beginning to say goodbye to someone who's been a part of his life for longer than many of us have even been alive. The other thing that you need to decide about is if you think Anna would want to be a cornea or an eye donor.
Oh, well, she wouldn't mind that. I mean, it's just like myself.
That'd be all right with her?
Yeah, it was all right with her and all right with me. She said if they can help somebody else, she's happy at any time.
We can always give. And Anna has given somebody the chance to have vision, and hopefully vision of happiness through her death.
A day after 18-year-old Jeff DiLuigio's accident, he is already well on the way to recovery.
Hi, Jeff.
I guess I am pretty lucky. A lot of people lose their lives because they don't wear the seatbelts, and it is very important that you do wear your seatbelts and watch how you drive.
You look in the mirror yet? Yeah. Dr. Harris did a great job. Yeah. Big difference.
It is, from day and night.
No.
It is a miracle that he is still with us today. According to the doctors, he came close to losing his life. And Bayflight made a big difference, and I'm thankful for them.
You're talking about going to the prom? When is that?
What's next weekend?
Next weekend?
All my friends that, showed up at the hospital, and I said, I may not go to the prom, that I had a few cuts on my face. They said, who cares? Go anyway. Everybody has a senior prom once, and that's it. It's time just to be with friends and not have to worry about anything else.
Little big smile, 1, 2, 3.
The classmates of Jeff and his girlfriend Patty Perez crowned them king and queen of the prom that night.
He didn't think he was going to be able to go to the prom, and I didn't want to go without him. Now it's here, and it's just something I want to remember for the rest of my life and keep with me always.
Oh, God. Show them your face. You still have it.
There's a little bit of hero in everybody, I suppose. The people that flew him over, the people that stitched him up, and himself. He's the biggest hero of all because he dealt with it and he's fine.
Next,
her, what's the matter? And he was gasping for air.
Like many children growing up with a learning disability, 12-year-old Kenny Perrone has often been labeled different or special. On the morning of December 18th, 1991, the community of Dunellen, Florida, found out for the first time just how special Kenny is.
Children with attention deficit disorder, they can only pay attention to one thing at a time. Everything that happens disrupts them and takes them off their chain of thought.
Morning, Kenny.
But Kenny is a very empathetic and compassionate person. He cares sometimes more for other people than he does for himself.
More than 50 students, including Kenny Perrone, rode Don Snyder's bus to school every morning. On December 18th, 1991, Don had begun his shift at 6:40 a.m.
It was a cold day, and then I saw Mr. Snyder. He was starting to sweat. I said, Mr. Snyder, in cases, yeah, pretty good.
The bus was approaching the Dunellen Middle School, just a few hundred yards ahead.
He started looking at me funny. And I asked him, what's the matter, Mr. Snyder? What's the matter? And he was gasping for air.
With his friend Aaron Brown helping, Kenny tried to take control of the bus.
His foot was on the gas, and I was trying to get his foot off the gas. I was heading toward a telephone pole.
One of the students ran to get Assistant Principal Herbert Dupree.
Upon arriving there, the driver was beginning to gain consciousness. My lord, he looked ashen, distraught.
Richard Clifton, who had also been riding the bus, notified the school's front office.
I told her that my bus driver had passed out. I thought that he was having a heart attack or something.
He said, I recall trying to turn the bus, and then that was it.
Paramedic Greg Bixler and his partner with the Monroe Regional Ambulance Service arrived on the scene within 5 minutes.
Hi. How you doing?
He wasn't complaining about any pains or no headaches, no chest pain. He also complained of a little bit of stomach cramps initially right before he passed out.
He was a friend to me and wanted to help him.
Tests revealed that Don Snyder had suffered a severe reaction to the prescription cough medicine he had taken that morning for the first time.
If you're not sure how medicine's going to affect you, don't drive or do anything that's going to require any fine motor coordination. Take a dose, see how it's going to affect you before you go doing anything that will require you to use good judgment.
1 month later, Don was back in the driver's seat.
I didn't know what happened until I got home from the hospital that night. I was walking in the house, and the phone was ringing. It was my boss, and I said, "What happened?" And she told me Kenny Peroni had got up and steered the bus and stopped it. Real thankful for that.
I think he was brave in what he did. And that if it ever happened again, that I'd rather have him on my bus than any other kid.
Kenny's father, Andy Perone, a volunteer fire chief, is proud of the way his son handled the emergency.
Kenny just seen somebody needed help, and the kids were on the bus. He hollered, "Go back to the bus." He took charge. Sometimes Kenny gets like that. He loves to take charge of things. And just that day, he took charge the proper way.
On January 28, 1992, the city of Dunellen presented awards to Kenny Perone and his friend Aaron for their heroic efforts in stopping the bus.
On behalf of county commissioners, we do want to present this award to you.
It's very difficult to explain how it is to have a child that you pray for almost 12 years, that you know that he is capable of so much, and to have everybody say he doesn't fit the clone of the perfect child. And all I could say was, "Right on, kid, man, I'm proud of you." You know, and he did it.
Hit the big red button and subscribe. Peace out, YouTube.